Hello everybody and welcome to another exciting, fun-filled, expeditious episode of Radiorama, where, as the name entails, I show you how to work on mainly radios, but basically I'll work on anything that runs on vacuum tubes or electronics in general, if I can get my grubby little hands on it. And as I get older, increasingly, if it's weird or unusual, then that's what I want to work on. And today is no exception. This is actually a radio I bought for myself. This is a Czechoslovakian-made Tesla model 433A from 1966. I was the only person that bid on it. It's not in that great of cosmetic shape. Some of the edges here, they're a little bit rough here, but I don't care. I just love the way it looks. And plus, I like stuff that is difficult to get or rare in this country. This came from California, so maybe the only thing I can think of is that somebody from Czechoslovakia or afterwards came over here and brought this with them. Listing says 220 volts only. I find that a little difficult to believe. There must surely be a way to change it, and someone has put a 110 volt plug on it, so I'm assuming it might have worked. I plugged it in. It does not work. It makes a very, 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 very quiet hum. Given that these are rare as hen's teeth in the US, I'm not going to demonstrate it again. I'm simply going to start with the basics, which is we're going to take the electronics out. We're going to look at the electrolytics. We're going to look at a bunch of other things. This has a bunch of tubes in it that I'm not familiar with. I'm wondering if there's any cross compatibility between types. EM84 is the I tube, I get that. ECC85, that is the FM tube. I've seen ECL86. I've not seen a EAA91. And I can't tell, is that the output tube or is ECL86 the output tube? I'm not as up to speed on my European radios. Tesla, Bratislava. I think that's a city. I could be completely wrong. Anyone that speaks this language, feel free to reach out and scold me for being an idiot. I don't know what that means. So I'm also, like most Americans, geographically ignorant. So let's take a look in the back and see what we're up against. Okay, well, here we go. Let me tighten that back up. You know, I've worked on a few weird, I'm not saying they're weird, I'm sorry, I don't want to be offensive. I've worked on some former Soviet bloc country radios, and a lot of them are really, really awful as far as the construction quality goes. But you know what? This is pretty nice. This almost reminds me of German construction. And I'm just curious here. We've got a power transformer, obviously. What I'm seeing, if there's any way, if there's like additional taps on this, I'm probably going to have to download the schematic. I've seen a few of these where you, even though it says 220 volts only, there's like a wire jumper that's off the transformer that you can jump. And I will only know that when I get the schematic. Wow, this cabinet's not in very good shape. The cabinet is also pretty cheap. It's really cheaply made. Looks like this is coming apart. So I tell you what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to remove the guts entirely, and the speaker, and the cabinet needs some work for sure. So this whole thing needs to come apart. All right, well, I took it out of there, and it's 100% bone stock original. 1966, that's pretty late. You can see this is using a PC board. But it's interesting because it's still pretty old-fashioned construction. As late as this is, I can't help but think those electrolytics have got to still be good. But to make sure, I'm going to, whoops, wrong setting. Turn that off. What we want is voltage between 660 and 600 volts. And we're going to charge it up to, I think it's supposed to be at 350 volts. And of course, it's difficult to do this one-handed. But you want to bring these suckers up kind of slowly because they will charge up, especially if they've been out of service for a while. And if you go too fast, they'll just like go over. And be careful with these machines. These are putting out some serious voltage. That does not seem to be like a very happy capacitor. Oh my god. Whoa, the leakage is nuts. Okay, I bet the other one's equally hosed. All right, let's make sure and discharge. Make sure and discharge these. Seriously. All right, let's try this one. And again, we'll come in here and set the voltage. Stupid crows. The crows around here are smart. All right. I'm gonna get into my cat food lately. Oh, Jesus Christ. Sorry, I didn't mean to curse. Wow. Whew. Man, those things are shot. They're beyond shot, so they need to be replaced. It says it's two 100 microfarad capacitors, which is kind of lame. That means I'll have to put two 47 microfarad caps together because I don't have any. You know what? I might try 50 microfarad caps first and see if it actually works. Most of the time they will. All right, so I've replaced both the electrolytic capacitors. While I'm in here, I'm going to clean up the controls a little bit with some cleaner. These piano keys tend to get kind of grossed up with debris. Let's see, where's the volume control? There's the volume control. Let's clean the volume control out. The other two are likely tone controls. There we go. That feels a lot better. All right, let's hook it up to the speaker, see if it lives. Quit playing. Quit recording. Ah! All right, so let's try it out, see if it does anything. Is this even plugged in all the way? Let's see. That's very fascinating. Have like no pilot light. Of course, I'm wondering if this thing is turning on. Maybe, I don't know, let me try something out here. Well, I was wondering why I was getting no power, and I looked. This wire right here has broken. That's the switch, so that's why it's not working. Thank you, communists. All right, well, I've done a few things. I've tested the tubes. They're weak, but they should get something. B plus looks good, so I think it's been converted to 120. But I'm getting audio, but I'm getting no reception, so I think I'm gonna go fiddle around in the yard for a little bit. Obviously, I need some troubleshooting, and also there's a lot of old leaky capacitors in this thing, so who knows. Welcome to day number 2 working on the Tesla, and didn't get very far yesterday. Making hardly any sound. Now, the thing is that 3 of the tubes barely registered any emissions, and so I've got the 3 replacement tubes. I don't think that's going to solve the problem. I think I've got a voltage problem somewhere. And so, but we'll replace these just for the heck of it, see what happens. Who knows? All right, here's the stupid problem. Stupid because it is stupid. So I assumed when I got this and it had the plug adapter on it, and I was like, oh, it must have been converted to 120 volts already. But I measured B plus, and it's only measuring half of what the B plus should be. So this thing is only it's not even halfway up to where it should be voltage wise. And I think I took home I took back to the museum, I had a 250 volt output transformer. Crap, I don't have one, so I can't test this thing. I don't have enough voltage here. I can only go up to 130 volts, that's it. Oh well, that's it for tonight then. Welcome to day 3 of working on the Tesla, and I went and got a 220 volt transformer so we can actually see if that's going to bring it to life. So I'm going to bring it up slowly on my Variac. Let's see, I'll keep my mind on the math here. So if I go to 110, that'll be 220 volts. I think it was throwing me off yesterday. I was like, I wasn't using my brain. I was like, well, we've got filament voltage, so that should be enough. But the thing is that the filament transformer, the filament part of the transformer is different. That puts at 6 volts no matter what voltage it's supposed to run on. Let's see. Yeah, see those two, this is more promising. Of course, there's no antenna, so let's hook up an antenna. That's more promising. Of course, we're not up all the way. I need to hook up a proper antenna. Well, we've got good news and maybe not so great news. The good news is that the radio seems to work pretty well now.
I mean, and it's from God, by the way, just in case you're wondering. To just simply add.
So, often when a baby is born prematurely or with various medical needs.
But I was looking at it. It's got an old standard of FM. It's going from 66 to 73 megahertz. And in the US it starts at around 87. So nothing's going to show up on FM here. Just going to get static across the entire band. But you know what? The important part is that the radio works fine. I'm going to be honest, this is going to be my shelf queen. It's going to sit on the shelf with my other weird European radios. I just like to know that my stuff works. And so now that I know it works, I'm going to proceed with possibly adding an audio input. I think this thing does have one. It does. So why not? It'll be easy. Alright. So I got my audio running through the tape player input. Alright. That is all I'm going to do electrically to the set. I'm going to clean this up a little bit, but I'm going to work on the case a little bit because it needs a little help for sure. Okay, now it's time to do some work on this poor cabinet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to loosen everything up and get some glue down in some of these crevices and then clamp it back together again so it'll dry. Welcome to day 4, I believe, of working on, I can't remember, 3 or 4, working on the Tesla. Anyway, now that I got it working, I want to work. I did, in fact, I forgot to film this last night because I was tired. I wound up piecing together and re-gluing the cabinet back together. I put it in clamps overnight, so now this is all like good and solid. I want to touch up the cabinet a little bit more. I think what I'm going to do is sand this down a little bit just to make it less noticeable, and then I'm going to go over the whole thing with Old English finisher stuff. Okay, now it's time to drench the finish with Old English. Sorry for the English people that listen to my webcast. That was a very poor interpretation of your accent. Part of my family's from there from a way long time ago, but I don't have that accent, of course, anymore. In case you're wondering, this is not real beer, it's fake beer. I decided I need to cool it with the amount of beer I drink, so I've not really had any for about a month so far. And you can see what a nice job this does. This kind of goes in and evens up the finish and gets rid of some of the nasty blemishes. Just like absolutely ladle it on. Because the more you put on, the more it'll soak into the finish. Of course, it's not going to look perfect, but this thing's probably pushing 70 years old, so it has a right to look like it's 70 years old. Besides, it would be hard to replicate this nice warm orange finish. I mean, the finish is, besides some of these blemishes, in pretty good shape. I just wish they hadn't beat it up so bad, but you know, again, the neat thing to me, personally, is that this is a brand that was never sold in the U.S. And what's fascinating, too, as I looked, and the company is still around. They were state-owned back when Czechoslovakia was a communist bloc country. It continues on to this day as a private company. So I think that's pretty cool. If there's any people from that part of the world watching this, and you want to correct me on any of my comments, feel free, because I'm sure I got some of that wrong. But I'm just going to go over the whole thing like that, and then I'm going to follow up with some Carnauba car wax. Alright, I know this looks wet, but it's just the oil from the Old English. This is only temporarily. Excuse me, I'm eating candy. Ever since not having beer for a few weeks, for some reason I crave candy. That, and I've lost like a shit ton of weight. Like I'm kind of a skinny guy, but I've lost 5 more pounds. Anyway, I'll shut up about that. I have this Carnauba car wax and my mechanical buffer, which saves my hands. You want to make sure you don't go too fast, because if you do, it'll just sling all over you. I just hear the people putting the garbage cans out. That means I need to do that, but not right now. I'll tell you a stupid story. So, I'd go for San Francisco for work today, and I haven't been to San Francisco in years, even though it's across the bay. And so I was like, I'll take the ferry. So I rode my bicycle over, and there's a new ferry. And so, long story short, I was there all day, and I took the ferry back, except I took the wrong one. It took me to the other side of the island I live on. So I was in my dress clothes, and I ran all the way across the island in my dress shoes and pants, and now I feel like crap. So I'm gonna reward myself by waxing my radio and drinking non-alcoholic beer. Hooray! I just randomly chose like 1960s Czechoslovakian pop music, and that's what came up. Maybe some of you folks that happen to be from that neck of the woods, let me know what those words meant, because I don't speak the language. Anyway, I know this was kind of a weird episode because I kind of didn't know what I was doing here, because I've never worked on one of these. Sometimes it's okay, you know. Sometimes you should challenge yourself. I felt like this was a challenge, but I think it was worth it. I think this thing's super cool. Like, that's what I get out of this hobby. For myself, these days, it's got to be something that you can't get in this country. And this is one of those. Tesla's been on my list for a long time. I'm never going to buy a Tesla car, for reasons I won't mention, but I don't have a problem buying Tesla radios. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching. Until the next time a radio comes across my workbench, I'll see you guys later. Bye.